The whole family gathered to celebrate our 30th wedding anniversary, but I left everyone in shock when I revealed the truth. The ring my wife ordered wasn't for mate, was for her lover, who happened to be her best friend's husband. Welcome to Storytime Reddit, everyone. I'm 57 years old, and I've been married to my wife, Jennifer, for just over 3 decades. We have 3 wonderful children who are now grown, living their own lives and building their own futures. I've spent most of my adult life working in the pharmaceutical industry, stable, respectable work that has allowed me to support our entire family financially over the years. We were never wealthy by any means, but our life was comfortable, steady, and, at least from what I believed, grounded in mutual respect and trust. For the longest time, I thought that even though our marriage, like any other, had its ups and downs, there was one thing I could rely on without question: my wife's unwavering love and loyalty. But life has a cruel way of revealing the truth when you least expect it. It all started about a year and a half ago, when my company offered me the opportunity to be part of a major new project, establishing a manufacturing facility in a town a few hours away. It was a big undertaking, projected to last at least a year. The compensation, however, was significant: 2.5 times my regular salary. It wasn't just a promotion, it was a golden ticket. A chance to build up enough savings to potentially retire early, spend more time with Jennifer, and perhaps even fulfill some long-postponed dreams together. I remember sitting down with her to talk everything through. At that point, our home was quieter than it had ever been. The kids were all out of the house, off to college, careers, marriages. It was just the two of us again, like it had been when we first started. I asked her, sincerely, whether she'd be okay with me being away more frequently for the duration of the project. Jennifer smiled and reassured me. "Don't worry about me. I'll be fine. I understand." I took her words to heart, and I believed her. So I moved out temporarily and settled into the apartment the company had provided near the new plant. It was a small, modest place. Lonely, yes, but I had a clear purpose. I poured myself into the work, day in and day out, and every weekend I could spare, I returned home, excited to see Jennifer. She'd welcome me with her familiar smile, cook my favorite meals, ask about my week. Those small moments made me believe genuinely that our love was still intact, still real. Last month, as our 30th wedding anniversary approached, I wanted to do something special. Not just flowers and dinner, but something memorable. Something that could show her I was still the man who had fallen for her decades ago. I secretly booked a trip to a private beach resort in Miami, an idyllic place she had once mentioned wanting to visit. It was the kind of trip we used to daydream about when we were younger, but had always put off for practical reasons. I also planned a second surprise: a diamond pendant. There was a particular one she had admired for years in a small jewelry store near our home. It had become almost a running joke. Every time we passed the store, she'd glance at the display and sigh. This time, I was going to get it for her. I wanted to give her something that showed how much I still cared. So, one afternoon, I went to the store. The sales associate recognized the pendant immediately. I showed him a photo of Jennifer to make sure I picked the one she had liked. But something strange happened. He paused, then said with a bit of hesitation, "Oh, this is your wife? She's a regular customer here, but I don't think I've ever seen you with her." I laughed politely. "Yeah, she usually shops alone. I want to surprise her with something special for our 30th anniversary." He nodded, but his smile was tight. Something in his eyes seemed off. After a brief moment of awkward silence, he admitted that Jennifer had been in the store just a few days earlier. Not to browse, but to place an order for a custom men's sapphire ring. My blood ran cold. He quickly tried to cover the slip, nervously suggesting that perhaps she had planned to surprise me. "Maybe act surprised if she gives it to you?" he added, as if to patch up whatever he might have accidentally revealed. I gave a weak smile, thanked him, and walked out with a storm brewing inside me. At first, I tried to convince myself, it's probably just a gift for me. She's planning a surprise too. That's sweet, right? She still cares, still loves me, right? I wanted so badly to believe that. I needed to believe that. But deep down, something didn't sit right, and I couldn't shake it. Just a week after learning about the mysterious ring, fate handed me the truth with cruel precision. Jennifer and I had planned to visit an old friend, Lena. She had been close to both of us for over 30 years. A strong, resilient woman, Lena had been through a lot in recent years. After her family business collapsed due to fraud, her father had suffered a heart attack and had been bedridden ever since. Lena had become the backbone of her household, juggling work, court battles, and caregiving all at once. I respected her deeply, and I trusted Hare along with Jennifer's friendship with her without question. That day, everything seemed normal. Lena made us tea, and we sat together in her living room, catching up on old stories and life updates. Then her husband, Marcus, walked in. Now, Marcus was never someone I particularly liked. Ever since Lena's business troubles, he hadn't managed to hold down a stable job. He lounged around, depending on Lena for everything. He was, frankly, a leech. But that day, it wasn't his usual unshaven, sloppy appearance that caught my eye, it was the ring on his finger. A sapphire ring. It was bright, unique, hard to miss, and identical to the one Jennifer had supposedly ordered just a week ago. My heart dropped. Trying to stay calm, I looked at Marcus and asked with forced casualness, "Nice ring. Did you just get it?" Marcus glanced at Jennifer, and Jennifer looked right back at him. That brief moment of eye contact, it said everything. A flicker of something unspoken, something wrong. Then Marcus smirked and said, "Yeah, bought it for myself. Figured I deserved to treat myself a little, you know?" Jennifer said nothing. Lena, sitting next to me, stayed quiet as well, but her expression tightened when she saw the ring. It wasn't jealousy, it was confusion. A subtle narrowing of her eyes, as if she was trying to put the pieces together. I kept my face neutral. I didn't want to cause a scene. Not there, not yet. But inside, everything was spiraling. The ring wasn't for me. Jennifer had bought that ring for him. For Marcus, the unemployed husband of one of our oldest friends. And she sat there, across from me, acting like nothing had happened, smiling, pouring tea, holding my hand. It was then that the reality began to settle in. Her distance, her excuses, the coldness when I came home, the lack of intimacy. All the vague reasons she gave, saying she didn't want to get close only to be left again on Monday. I had once believed those words. I had felt sorry for her. But now, everything began to crumble, and a storm much stronger than before started building within me. Lena stayed silent. Her face didn't give much away, no gasp, no accusations, not even a furrowed brow at first. But I caught it, the way her eyes flicked toward the ring on Marcus's hand. Her gaze lingered for a moment, then shifted, brows tightening slightly, not in jealousy, but in something closer to confusion. Suspicion, maybe. Like she was piecing something together for the very first time. I tried to hold myself together, tried to act like everything was still fine, still normal. But my thoughts were spinning out of control. My pulse quickened. My hands felt cold, despite the warmth of the teacup I held. The air around me seemed to thicken. That ring, the one Jennifer had custom ordered, wasn't meant for me. It was for Marcus. Marcus, Lena's husband. Jennifer's best friend's husband. The man who had been sitting at our dinner table. The man I had shaken hands with, laughed with. A man I had tolerated, despite his freeloading ways, because he was family to someone I respected. And Jennifer? She just sat there, composed, sipping tea, smiling when appropriate, playing her part as if nothing had changed, as if she hadn't just detonated a bomb at the center of our marriage. I looked at her, really looked. The pieces started falling into place, the subtle signs I had chosen to ignore, now screaming in my mind. Her emotional distance every time I came home from the plant. The way she pulled away when I tried to hold her. The carefully crafted excuse show she was tired, how she didn't want to stir up emotions just to be left alone again. At the time, I had believed her. I had actually felt bad for her. I thought she was hurting because of my absence, that she was lonely and trying to protect herself from the pain of temporary goodbyes. But now I saw it for what it was, a smokescreen, a carefully placed veil over the truth. She wasn't protecting herself from sadness, she was hiding infidelity. I couldn't confront her, not then, not in front of Marcus, and certainly not in front of Lena, woman who had already endured enough and didn't deserve the chaos that was brewing inside me. So I said nothing. I smiled, nodded, played along. I was polite, civil. My outward calm was a Leah mask worn to hide the storm raging within me. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay awake in bed, eyes wide open, staring at the ceiling as if it would offer answers. My heart pounded so loud it echoed in my ears. One moment I wanted to scream. The next, I felt paralyzed by shock. I'd close my eyes and try to calm myself, but it was pointless. My mind just kept replaying that moment. The glance they shared, the smirk on Marcus's face, the silence on hers. And the ring, that damn ring. I couldn't accuse her. Not yet. I had no proof. Only suspicions. only a sinking feeling in my gut and a brain desperately trying to rationalize what I had seen. But deep inside, something had cracked. And I knew this was just the beginning. Something darker was waiting beneath the surface. I used to think that people who spied on their spouses who planted recorders, tracked their phones, checked their emails were paranoid, controlling, insecure, or maybe just emotionally unstable. I never thought I'd be one of them. But when you're standing on the edge of betrayal, when your heart is dangling between trust and devastation, when your entire reality starts to blur suddenly, knowing becomes more important than your pride. After seeing that sapphire ring on Marcus's hand, the ring I thought had been meant for me, I knew I wouldn't be able to sleep again until I found the truth. Real, undeniable proof. I needed to see it, hear it, feel it, because at that point, doubt was a poison eating me alive. So I began planning, quietly, meticulously. I ordered 3 miniature recording devices, the kind used in internal corporate investigations. Small enough to be hidden in plain sight, but powerful enough to capture the conversations I needed to hear. I placed the first in Jennifer's handbag. She rarely checked the hidden inner pocket, so I knew it would stay untouched. The second I fixed under the living room sofa, taped securely where no one would think to look. The third and most important, I hid behind the bookshelf in our bedroom, facing the bed. It was where the most vulnerable conversations might happen. I wasn't done. I wired an audio recorder into her car as well, synced with the device in her purse. Anytime she entered the vehicle, the system would auto-activate and record. I didn't feel good about any of it. I wasn't proud. In fact, every time I held one of those devices in my hand, it felt like I was betraying something sacred within myself. But I reminded myself, I didn't start this. I wasn't the one sneaking around, whispering behind someone's back. I just needed the truth, and if I was being lied to, I needed to hear the lie with my own ears. That weekend, I came home like usual. Jennifer greeted me with her calm smile. She asked about work, made dinner. Everything seemed normal, too normal. Her behavior had started to feel rehearsed, practiced, not loving, but mechanical, like someone playing a part in a show they no longer cared about. We hadn't been intimate in weeks. When I tried to touch her, she pulled away again, same excuse. But now I saw it for what it was, a smokescreen, a carefully placed veil over the truth. She wasn't protecting herself from sadness, she was hiding infidelity. I couldn't confront her. Not then, not in front of Marcus, and certainly not in front of Lena, woman who had already endured enough and didn't deserve the chaos that was brewing inside me. So I said nothing. I smiled, nodded, played along. I was polite, civil. My outward calm was a Leah mask worn to hide the storm raging within me. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay awake in bed, eyes wide open, staring at the ceiling as if it would offer answers. My heart pounded so loud it echoed in my ears. One moment I wanted to scream. The next, I felt paralyzed by shock. I'd close my eyes and try to calm myself, but it was pointless. My mind just kept replaying that moment. The glance they shared, the smirk on Marcus's face, the silence on hers. And the ring, that damn ring. I couldn't accuse her. Not yet. I had no proof. Only suspicions. Only a sinking feeling in my gut and a brain desperately trying to rationalize what I had seen. But deep inside, something had cracked. And I knew this was just the beginning. Something darker was waiting beneath the surface. I used to think that people who spied on their spouses who planted recorders, tracked their phones, checked their emails were paranoid, controlling, insecure, or maybe just emotionally unstable. I never thought I'd be one of them. But when you're standing on the edge of betrayal, when your heart is dangling between trust and devastation, when your entire reality starts to blur suddenly, knowing becomes more important than your pride. After seeing that sapphire ring on Marcus's hand, the ring I thought had been meant for me, I knew I wouldn't be able to sleep again until I found the truth. Real, undeniable proof. I needed to see it, hear it, feel it, because at that point, doubt was a poison eating me alive. So I began planning, quietly, meticulously. I ordered 3 miniature recording devices, the kind used in internal corporate investigations, small enough to be hidden in plain sight, but powerful enough to capture the conversations I needed to hear. I placed the first in Jennifer's handbag. She rarely checked the hidden inner pocket, so I knew it would stay untouched. The second I fixed under the living room sofa, taped securely where no one would think to look. The third and most important, I hid behind the bookshelf in our bedroom, facing the bed. It was where the most vulnerable conversations might happen. I wasn't done. I wired an audio recorder into her car as well, synced with the device in her purse. Anytime she entered the vehicle, the system would auto-activate and record. I didn't feel good about any of it. I wasn't proud. In fact, every time I held one of those devices in my hand, it felt like I was betraying something sacred within myself. But I reminded myself, I didn't start this. I wasn't the one sneaking around, whispering behind someone's back. I just needed the truth. And if I was being lied to, I needed to hear the lie with my own ears. That weekend, I came home like usual. Jennifer greeted me with her calm smile. She asked about work, made dinner. Everything seemed normal. Too normal. Her behavior had started to feel rehearsed, practiced, not loving, but mechanical, like someone playing a part in a show they no longer cared about. We hadn't been intimate in weeks. When I tried to touch her, she pulled away again. Same excuse. I don't want to get close just to say goodbye again. It's exhausting having to part every Monday. Before, I had accepted that. Now, it sounded like the world's oldest script. A line from a play meant to keep me in the dark. That night, I ran tests on all the devices, checked the audio quality, cleared the memory cards, made sure everything was functioning as intended. I told Jennifer there was an issue at the plant, something urgent hand, that I'd have to leave that night. She nodded, kissed me on the cheek, and said, "Be safe." I drove away, then parked a few blocks down the road. I waited, heart pounding, not knowing what I'd find. For the next week, I checked the recordings every night, scrolling through hours of silence, stray background noise, and the occasional grocery list conversation. Until it happened. In one of the audio files pulled from her handbag, I heard Jennifer's voice. Crystal clear, unmistakable. She was on the phone, with him. "I miss you. I hate pretending every weekend. If only you were my husband." Then laughter, a soft sigh, more whispers, more daggers to the chest. "Just a few more weeks, and we'll have more time together." My finger hovered over the pause button, my stomach twisted violently. I shut the recording off. I couldn't listen anymore. It felt like vomiting blood, like every part of me was revolting from the inside. I had nothing in my stomach, but I was still dry heaving. There it was, the truth I thought I wanted. And it shattered me. At that moment, there was no doubt left. Jennifer was having an affair. No more maybes, no more assumptions. The evidence was stacking up piece by piece like a cruel jigsaw puzzle falling into place. I still don't know how I'll confront her. But one thing is certain. I won't let her keep laughing behind my back for even one more second. After hearing that first recording between Jennifer and Marcus, it felt like I was falling into a bottomless pit. I didn't yet have concrete proof that they were meeting in person, but the way she said, "I miss you," no one speaks like that to another man if they're still loyal to their husband. I started monitoring things more closely. Every day, I listened to the recordings. Sometimes it was just bits of casual conversation, but other times it was blatant sexual innuendo. They even discussed making the most of the weekend because I'd be out of the way again. One thing that absolutely crushed me was that most of those recordings took place right in my bedroom. While I was out mowing the lawn, fixing the sink, working in the yard, my wife was in our room, whispering sweet nothings to her lover over the phone, plotting their affair. Then, that weekend, an unexpected opportunity came up. Lena, Marcus's wife, told us she'd be taking her parents back to their hometown for a few days to handle some land paperwork. Marcus was supposed to go with her, but he didn't. Through a new recording, I heard him begging Jennifer, "I'm free all weekend. Can you come over? I'm going crazy without you." Jennifer hesitated, then said, "I can't. My husband will be home. I can't make him suspicious." They both whined about not having alone time, like they used to, but it was clear they were trying to figure out a way to meet up as soon as possible. I thought, this is it. I would pretend to leave for work early. I would follow them. I'd catch them in the act. I'd make sure the truth came out, undeniable and raw. The next morning, I got up early and pretended I had an urgent meeting at the plant. Jennifer smiled and saw me off like everything was normal. But I knew in just a few hours, she'd let Marcus into my house, into my bed. I left, parked a few blocks away, and waited. I planned to follow Marcus when he showed up or follow Jennifer if she left to meet him. But then, my phone rang. It was Lena. Her voice was panicked. "Please, my dad, he's having another episode. I'm calling an ambulance, but Marcus won't pick up. Are you nearby? I really need help. I froze. All my plans, very detail of my little sting operation collapsed. I couldn't abandon Lena. As torn as I was inside, I turned the car around and rushed to the hospital. I arrived just as Lena's father was being wheeled into the emergency room. Lena collapsed into a chair, tears streaming down her face. I placed a hand on her shoulder gently. I didn't say anything because no words could comfort her in that moment. And Marcus? Still nowhere to be seen. He didn't show up until nearly midnight. When he saw me there, his face went pale. Lena snapped. "Where were you? I've been calling you non-stop." Marcus mumbled some pathetic excuse. I didn't even listen. I just wanted to punch that fake face of his, but I held myself back. On the way home, I played back the audio from Jennifer's purse. And just as I expected, right after I had left the house, she called Marcus and told him, he's gone. And we have a few hours to ourselves. They had planned to meet up but got interrupted when Marcus got the call about Lena's father. Later, Jennifer also showed up at the hospital, pretending to be worried. Watching her act, I wanted to scream. "Is this your good wife performance? Because on my bed, you called him baby." I left the hospital with a dull ache pounding in my chest. I hadn't caught them red-handed yet, but I knew that moment was coming. Just one more step. And I swear, next time, there will be no denying it. Our 30th wedding anniversary. It was supposed to be a day filled with flowers, candlelight, and happy tears. But after everything I had uncovered, the long nights listening to my wife whisper, "I miss you," to another man, I knew that day would be the last she would ever carry the title, my wife. I prepared everything as if nothing was wrong. The diamond pendant I had bought was still tucked in its red velvet box, but this time, it wasn't accompanied by a hug. It came with divorce papers. That evening, all our children were present. They're all grown now, each brought along their partner or spouse. Lena and Marcus were there too, and when I looked at Marcus, his face froze into a stiff, nervous smile. He knew. I knew. Only Jennifer was still unaware of what was coming. She wore that soft blue dress I once told her made her look like a dream. She smiled, welcomed guests, poured wine, wrapped her arm around me as if she hadn't whispered, "I miss your scent," to another man, a man standing just steps away. After we cut the cake, I gave Jennifer the first gift, the pendant. She opened it happily until her eyes caught the name of the jewelry store printed on the box. She froze. I saw her face turn pale in that brief moment. She knew. She understood that I knew. But I still smiled, looked her straight in the eyes and said, "I have one more gift for you, something even more special." After dinner, I asked our children to leave, using the excuse that Mom and Dad want a private moment to celebrate. Only Jennifer, Marcus, Lena, and I remained. I had privately asked Lena to stay. I took out an envelope. Jennifer looked confused. "What's this? Plane tickets?" she joked, but her hands trembled slightly as she opened it. It was divorce papers. Her eyes widened. She stammered. This has to be a joke, right? You can't be serious." I didn't say a word. I simply pulled out my phone and played the recording. Her voice filled the silent room. "I miss you. I hate pretending when my husband's around." Silence fell like a thunderclap. Marcus stared at the floor. Lena began to cry. Jennifer collapsed into a chair, sobbing uncontrollably. I stood up. I looked at Hearthwoman, who had walked through 3 decades of life with me. The one who held my hand when our kids were born. The one who clutched me when my mother passed away, now kneeling in front of me, begging for forgiveness, in tears, because she had betrayed me. Lena whispered, "I'm so sorry, I didn't know. I tried to stop it, but Marcus wouldn't listen." I nodded quietly. But I didn't care who started it. I only cared who chose to do wrong. That night, I packed my things and left the house. My heart was heavy, but oddly, I felt relief. I had no regrets. She had 30 years to make the right choices, and she chose betrayal. And that night, in front of everyone, I let the truth speak for itself. I walked out of the house I once called home that same night. My luggage held only a few clothes, a journal, and a signed copy of the divorce papers. I didn't cry. I had no more tears left. 30 years of Maria Zano shattered into fragments of memory scattered beneath my feet. I returned to the company-provided apartment near the factory, the place that used to feel like a temporary stay, but now it was the only safe space I had. 2 days later, my son called. His voice was hesitant. "Dad, Mom called us all back home. She says there's something she wants to talk about." I didn't respond at first. Will you come? I said. Number, but if you want the truth, go ahead and listen. I wasn't sure what Jennifer planned to say, but that night, my eldest daughter came to visit me. Her eyes were red and puffy. She didn't say much, just hugged me tightly and whispered, "You don't have to say anything, Dad. I already know." I asked, "What did your mom say?" She answered. She said she betrayed you. She apologized to us. She said she was lonely, weak, and that Marcus seduced her. That last part made me smirk. Marcus seduced her? What about the midnight phone calls? The "I miss yous"? The gifts she bought with my money? Jennifer wasn't seduced. She chose it, willingly, repeatedly. My child continued. But what hurt me the most was that Mom wanted us to understand and forgive her. She said you were too cold, that you always chose work over her, that she felt lonely. I stayed silent. I didn't deny it. I had thrown myself into work. I had been away from home. But that same work paid for everything: our home, our children's education, their medical bills, and a comfortable life. Loneliness is not an excuse for cheating. You can open up. You can ask for help. But betrayal? Number? Later, my youngest daughter sent me a message. "Dad, don't worry. We're still on your side." I knew this whole ordeal would leave a scar on my kids, but I couldn't teach them that betrayal could be excused with a simple apology. Number betrayal has consequences. I heard Jennifer spiraled for days, refusing to eat, crying nonstop, calling the kids over and over. She even wrote me a handwritten letter saying she still loved me, that she missed our early days, and wanted to be forgiven. I tore that letter apart the moment I finished reading it. Love? You don't betray someone you love. You don't give your body and heart to another person and then come crawling back saying, "You're still the one." 30 years together, 3 grown children, countless holidays, illnesses, financial struggles. Nights when all we had was leftover rice and her smile, those were the pillars that once built my unshakable trust. But in the end, just one sapphire ring shattered all of it into 1,000 broken pieces. And the irony is, now that I've let go of everything, I feel lighter than I've ever felt. After the confrontation, after the divorce papers, after my children learned the truth and chose to stand by me, I decided to move out of the company apartment. I didn't want to return to our old house. I didn't want to stay somewhere that reminded me of those long nights replaying recordings of betrayal. I needed space, a place just for me and freedom. So I bought an old camper van. Nothing fancy. It was worn out, chipped paint, the scent of old leather and stale smoke, but it was mine. I rebuilt it piece by piece, repainting the cabinets, installing reading lights, redoing the bed, hanging curtains that opened to a view of the night sky. For the first time in years, I was living for myself. Mornings, I woke up beside a lake, made coffee, and read a book. Afternoons, I fished or wrote in my journal. At night, I lay back and watched the stars, reflecting on everything I'd been through. No more arguments, no more cold stares from Jennifer, no more repeated lies. Just me, a man who lost everything, but somehow found the peace he hadn't realized he'd been missing. I still keep in touch with my kids. They call regularly, sharing updates on school, work, and even their love lives. And every time, they ask, "Dad, don't you feel lonely?" I smile and say, "Number, I'm alive." Lena is doing well too. She finalized her divorce from Marcus and now lives with her parents, continuing her legal battle to restore her family's honor. Whenever we talk, she always says with a smile, "I'm not sure if I should thank Marcus or hate him, but thanks to him, I learned how to love myself for the first time in 10 years of marriage." We still talk, but nothing more. We both need time to heal. And strangely enough, sitting in silence together makes me feel closer to her than ever. As for Jennifer, I don't know. And I don't care to know. People ask if I still love her. I think I once loved someone named Jennifer, but that person is gone. The woman who remains is just a ghost of the one I used to know. Writing this down feels like therapy. Every sentence I type strips away another layer of heaviness inside me. No one wants to be betrayed. No one chooses to walk through pain. But when it happens, you have 2 choices: drown in it or rise and move forward. I chose to move forward. Down a road with no clear destination. In a beat-up camper van, but filled with sunshine, wind, and no more shadows of deceit.